This meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
Fabulous. Welcome everybody to the Fountainhead, Rhode Island community. And thank you so much for joining us today for this community spotlight. Joining us today, we have Adam Alpert, founder of Pendia app, tuning in right from his office here in Rhode Island to talk to us about all the amazing things that his company is doing in our community and to learn about how we can support him and how he can support our community. So thank you so much for joining us, Adam.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, calling in from our new office space. We actually just moved into the Hope Artiste Village over in Pawtucket. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think as a New Yorker, I'm never going to get it right. Is it Pawtucket? Is it Pawtucket? Pawtucket?
Oh, don't ask me. All the time.
The pronunciation queen.
Oh man, well, it looks absolutely beautiful. I know those buildings over there are great. The space looks gorgeous. I'm sure the team is loving it. So welcome to you to your space.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to be here. Conference room.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you to join us. For those out there in the community who aren't familiar with me, my name is Cassandra McGlone, and I'm actually on the board of Fountainhead, Rhode Island, and I have the wonderful opportunity of spotlighting and interviewing amazing people in our community, including Adam, and introducing what they're doing to all of you today. So Adam, you know, what I would love to do is kind of start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Happy to do so, Cassandra, which I have been pronouncing wrong this entire time. I've been saying Cassandra.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm fine with either. You are great.
So hi, everyone, mysterious live audience whom I cannot see. Really excited to be here today before kind of lunchtime. My name is Adam. I'm one of the co-founders of pangea.app. Graduated from Brown in 2017. And, you know, for me, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. I never aspired to start a business, never thought I'd be able to figure it out. This was never part of my life path. I've stumbled into it, and I'll tell you how I did. Starting in middle school, I was fortunate enough to discover my passion. My folks got me a video camera for my 6th birthday back in 2006, or not my 6th, when I was in 6th grade in 2006. I always get this thing screwed up. I got a video camera, and I fell in love with it. I think I was probably like 11 years old or something. And just the technology behind it, the ability to have my friends come over, we'd film like us, like, you know, running around the house with Nerf guns. And over like my middle school years, like the videos got increasingly more complex as I learned how to actually like upload the video to my computer. And I came into possession of a version of Final Cut Pro, taught myself how to use that. So all through high school, I continued to do video work. I founded the filmmaking club in my high school. I lobbied my principal and the board of my school to actually bring in a professor that would teach a video class. It took me 3 years, but they ended up bringing someone down from actually RISD, fun fact, to teach a class, and left a legacy there. They started off teaching a class with just me and one other kid named Charlie Coleslaw, and she's actually still there today, 8-9 years later, and teaching a full suite of classes. So ended up at Brown in 2013, excited to get my hands on more video projects, did a bunch of student run opportunities that obviously were purely passion driven. And I started looking for other opportunities that were a bit more professionally oriented around videography. And I had a really hard time finding that. You know, if you're a student looking to work, you're generally looking for an internship, you know, in the summer times, working for, I said, Brown, like large tech, large consulting companies, financial firms. They oftentimes don't give internships to rising incoming freshmen or rising sophomores or oftentimes rising juniors. And if you need to make money, you end up having to take a part-time job on campus. So 80% of students in the US, roughly 16 million folks, work a part-time job while in school. But these jobs tend to be working in the cafeteria, stacking books in the library, real minimum wage stuff. And oftentimes these things don't really help you build a resume. And as a result, we have all these students who are graduating to the workforce who actually don't have real world skills. And as a result, 40% of recent college grads are underemployed in the workforce, number 8 million. So they go to college, end up graduating, and they take a job that didn't even require a college degree in the first place. And I'm not talking about like Facebook not having a college degree requirement. I'm talking about they're working at Starbucks. Nothing against Starbucks, but if you're graduating with $100,000 in college debt, you're going to have a hard time paying that off working in the service industry. So when I was in college, I was looking for an opportunity kind of in between, right? More paid opportunities that aligned with my personal interests, being videography, that I could put in my resume. And seeing that gap between internships and part-time jobs, we saw an opportunity to actually help students start to take what they're good at and share it with the community. Start off very fuzzy idea. It initially took its form in what looked more like a Craigslist for students on campus to buy and sell, exchange services, but also things. Launched it in 2017. Thought it was going to work. It didn't work. It took us 18 months to kind of really determine that it wasn't going to, after a couple of iterations, that we had to make some changes. And in 2019, we pivoted to really focusing on freelancing, back to the roots of what got the whole thing started. And since then, we've expanded from not just Brown to now we're at more than 1,300 colleges. Actually, I think 1,500 now across the US and Canada.
That is fantastic. I mean, what a great, coming up story where it all started. I mean, all from your sixth grade birthday present, right? That's
Pretty much.
so fantastic how one little thing can just domino effect into something so big and impactful. And like, here you are founding this company, running it, making an impact and a change and kind of really ruffling things up, challenging the norm, as I like to say. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that moment in high school of questioning why are things the way they are. So, hey, my high school doesn't offer video classes. Should I just accept that as the reality? And they wanted me to go take, ceramics to get my art credit. And, nothing against ceramics. I love ceramics. One of our team members was actually a ceramics major at RISD. But I knew I wanted to do film, right? And just because the world wasn't that way, I think at a young age, having done film and having been able to create things out of nothing, I think I had the naivete and the hubris, I think, to be like, well, we should maybe change things. And that's happened a couple times throughout our journey. And I think this also came up when we pivoted away from being just a Craigslist. And, we were looking to find students to help us out with marketing and engineering work on our team. And it was so hard to find folks who could help us build our company. We were on Brown's campus, and I was, 2 years out of school, and it was hard to find engineers and hard designers. And we tried going through like the Brown University Career Center and Handshake and this like very cumbersome job board that, you get a couple of people to apply and they don't help you actually facilitate the hire or the management or the payments or anything like that. And it took us like 3 months to even get approved. And we couldn't even get approved at a lot of schools because like we didn't have a business address and like a phone number that wasn't myself, like stupid things like that. And I was like, why are things this way? And we had this database of, at the time, a couple hundred students, and we just started reaching into our own student pool to hire. And that led to a big change. So, there's domino effects kind of helping you think about the world. And is this the way that it should be? Because the way it is doesn't necessarily mean it's the way that it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that challenger mindset is really what has helped you grow your company, make it come to fruition. And again, it's just like it's disrupting things and disrupting the norm, right? So, despite your original statement of not thinking you really were going to be ever running your business or be an entrepreneur, I mean, here you are, you're killing it, you're crushing the game. So, kudos, absolutely.
Somewhere along the way, they just stopped calling me a filmmaker and an entrepreneur, but the actual like the methods, there's so much similarity between filmmaking and running a business, I think, or at least starting something, right? Because when you're starting off with a film, there's nothing. You start writing ideas down, you come up with a script, a shot list, right? You kind of like lay out this plan and you set up a production deadline, and then you assemble a crew, and then you actually have to like get the shots done on set and then edit it. And then there's a whole revisionary process, and you actually have a thing that you can share, right? And that's like that creative process is like a product cycle in a way. And I think the thing with, working at a software company instead of a film is it's never done, right? Like I never really, like I produce a film for like Brown Motion Pictures, student film. Once we put it out there, it was like, we're done with it. Like we didn't, sometimes in like the world you do a sequel to things and things like that. You kind of iterate on it or continue the story. But with software, it's like as soon as you ship something, you're measuring the data and the reactions of folks and saying, what else can I ship on top of this to improve the experience? And it's this cycle that, I kind of got caught in, and it just gives me this endless cycle of fulfillment at the same time and challenge.
It's a fantastic parallel too. I love how you kind of explained that. So I know you've touched upon already kind of on a high level what Pendia app is all about, right? You mentioned freelancing, you mentioned, connecting college students, you mentioned your struggles that you saw when it came to job opportunities. But for those in the community who aren't fully, aware of Pendia app, can you tell us a little bit more, just about the business?
Yeah, so we help companies hire college freelancers and also recent grads as well. So we like to call them emerging talent. These are folks that are entering the workforce. They're digital natives. They have an understanding of social media. They understand the latest design techniques. They're using all the latest technology. They're really on the cutting edge of like what's trending. And we just make hiring a college student much less cumbersome and easy to do than hiring an intern through Handshake and going through and setting up all your structures yourself. We also know that the freelancers of tomorrow are in college today. And today, Gen Z represents around like 5% of the workforce, but that's going to explode to 30+% over the next 10 years. So we're really situated in this really interesting position in the market where, as we know, the next generation of workers are Gen Z, and we see freelancing continue to become more and more of the workforce. You put those two things together and you have a Venn diagram, and it's like freelancing in college. And that's where we've found ourselves. And that's a little bit of what we do. We make it really easy to find, hire, and manage college freelancers.
That's awesome, especially, given your story of the challenges that a lot of college students face, right? Having to work two jobs, but then not really getting compensated for it. And also from an employer perspective, I can imagine the benefits there of having this easy opportunity to access freelancers. It probably creates a lot of value add for them to be able to find somebody that can meet a quick need, and just easily through your app, they can go ahead and find that talent for whatever that need is.
Yeah, one of the companies we worked with was a later stage startup called Dubsmash. It's kind of similar to TikTok, or was like a precursor to TikTok, and is like short form video content kind of a thing. They actually got acquired by Reddit last year, and they used us last year. They worked with a student named Rachel, who's actually a recent grad, and they hired her part time to do marketing work. It was like a $25, $30 an hour thing, but she was working like 20 hours, 30 hours a week with them, worked with them for 6 months on our platform. And then she got offered a full-time job with them. So these employers are using the same way why you hire an intern is it's someone who you're investing in them and they might become a full-time teammate in the future. It's part of it's like an internship is part of one element of your toolkit in terms of how you recruit as a business. But a lot of companies that struggle like running your run-of-the-mill internship programs and they have immediate needs they're trying to fill. So we kind of help companies make it more practical and pragmatic because like we've run more standard internship programs at Pendia and they become very burdensome. You have to like come up with work for folks, and you spend all this time like keeping them busy. But when you can actually align them with like, hey, we actually need help on the design team. We actually need help on content creation. We actually need help on social media management. You bring them in, they're doing real work for you. It becomes less of like, you're not just doing it just for the sake of having an internship or purely for down the road. It has immediate benefit, but this long-term outcome. And that's what gets us really excited is because it's hard to, when you're working with emerging talent, they don't have 10 years of experience in the resume. They might not have any experience at all, but you might talk to them and say, hey, this person, they strike me as capable. They strike me as professional. They have good energy. They're passionate about the work we're doing. And with the right little bit of mentorship and help, like they can really pick this up really quickly and do a great job today. And then you can build a relationship with them over 6 months or, 2 years. And then that can become your next teammate. It was a very natural transition into your team full time. In fact, several of our teammates here at Pendia started first as Pangeans on a contract with us, and now they're working with us on a full-time salary.
That's amazing. And I feel like that also helps to find the right person, right? You find the right person and put them in the right seat within the organization, and it creates for a much more efficient transition, a much more impactful hire.
Yeah, and you get a sense of how you actually work together. Because it's like so hard to like just go from like having to do all of the screening in terms of like multiple rounds of interviews and super days, and you're trying to suss out how capable they are in the interview process. And we know that that is not a great way to really get a feel for someone. And we'd rather find a way to get someone like in the office working on a project, paying them to do it. And over the course of 6 weeks, 6 months, you get a much better sense of what this person is actually capable of. And if they're not great, you end the contract, and you can work with multiple people. Hopefully they work out and then they keep helping work out and their role expands and expands. So like for a lot of the roles that we hire for, like your social media management, things like that, yes, have a little interview, yes, have them do a trial project, deliver a couple of graphics, but you can make an assessment rather quickly of if you feel like they're competent or not, and then just get them in, get them on a contract, get them working, give them a little help. We also have the thesis that everyone can be successful with the right kind of support and the right kind of engagement, and it's not a fit. Like some students need a little bit more guidance and help, and some organizations are willing to give that support to that person and grow them over time. So there's a whole lot that goes into like the matching process, but we definitely say like, don't put someone through like 5 rounds of interview if you're going to make a bad decision at the end of the day, because people can interview great, but when you put them actually in a high stress situation with a real project and a deadline, they may or may not execute, and how well they interview is not going to really tell you that.
Yeah. And that's where you guys really come into play and can really kind of, fill in that gap or kind of really clear out the waters, so to speak. I know you kind of talked about this earlier in the beginning of our conversation. I want to kind of go back to it for a minute. You talked about, how you guys started and how things kind of shifted. And this happens a lot, especially with startups, right? And so when you guys were starting up versus where you are today, tell us a little bit about the evolution of Pendia.
That's great. Yeah. So every startup has a very different journey. I think if there are any entrepreneurs in the audience or any like wannabe or future founders in the audience that want to, found a company, everyone has different journeys. Some people will start off with like the right idea and the right team, and they just find product market fit super quickly and they explode. Facebook is like the chief example. Like they just nailed it on the first go. They had this insane virality. No one had seen anything like that. And it was a rocket ship. Like you're not going to be a Facebook. There are other companies that also just find success more quickly. And there's some companies that take a little bit more time. For us, it definitely took us like a lot more time. And our story is a lot about like being very persistent, finding small ways to improve, finding ways to stay alive, continue to listen, continue to iterate. So a bit of the evolution of Pangea was we started off as a Craigslist, we're a marketplace. So there's buyers and the sellers. Both the buyers of things that like sellers that were like making or doing things were students. So you can only sign up for Pendia on either side of the marketplace if you had a .edu. And then students were doing things like, hey, I'll offer a French lesson for like $5. Or we had all the Johnson and Wales students downtown on the culinary school, hey, I'll teach you how to cook, or I'll actually like do a meal prep for you. That was actually, I think, the most successful thing we did in the early days. We had a fraternity at Brown that was running these like underground poker games, and they'd have a Johnson and Wales student come up on Sunday nights and like cater and bartend the whole thing and like pay him a couple $100. And like they loved it, and they were making good money. It was kind of a fringe thing. It's like, okay, are we really going to build like a bootleg underground like personal chef business thing? And so it was getting a little bit too far away from what our initial like problem set that we wanted to solve. And we just felt like we weren't solving it in a very efficient way. So we made a couple of initial iterations. One, it was also a place where you could like sell artwork or like sell like, hey, I have a phone case or a textbook or this notebook thing here. And we just weren't seeing a lot of activity. It was very crowded. We were basically doing like a marketplace where I think there were like 60 or 70 different verticals across like services from high skill to low skill, like delivery, high skill being tutoring, low skill being delivery, to goods, which could be something that like a student at RISD was making or something that someone was selling secondhand. So the first thing we did was we got rid of like the garage sale element of it. We said, we're not really trying to be a garage sale platform. There's OfferUp, there's Let Go, there's Facebook Marketplace, there are like email listservs, and like they do it just fine. Like no one's really that upset about that. And like, that's a hard thing to build. And like, if you're doing, there's so many different verticals of like things too. So we got rid of that to help us start focusing in. And then from there, the next iteration we made is we got rid of like the low skill. This is like one of the bigger debates of Pendia in the early days. Was like, do we go for like the high skill, kind of like the tutoring side of things, or do we go for the low skill, like running deliveries from like CVS, like kind of a Postmates kind of a setup? And with Postmates and Grubhub and Uber Eats and like DoorDash and all the prolific, it's like, are we really going to win in delivery? Like, do you really want to be like chatting and negotiating with your delivery driver on like the rates and things like that? Like, no, like that's just not how people want that service delivered. So we ended up making a decision to really focus in on the aspect of our marketplace where people were doing it more for professional development. So like even the Johnson Wales student that was doing the personal chef stuff, like for them, that was their career path. And we noticed with several of our other folks that were using it, it was aligned with a bit more of their career path, or things that you would think of as more like freelancing, like photography and videography, the things that, had gotten me excited by it in the first place. So we ended up deciding to just really focus in on where we were finding some traction and digging into that, but then looking at a high level of the macro trends and trying to identify a pattern between the two. And in 2019, we pivoted to really focusing on freelancing and being more open to like remote opportunities. This is obviously like way before COVID. And then from there, we got into an accelerator program called Mass Challenge in 2019. When we navigated that pivot, we had applied to Mass Challenge 3 times. And on the first 2 times, we didn't get in. So like with that earlier idea of like the Craigslist and the garage, like it just was like, and on a scale of like 1 to 10, we were getting like 2s or 3s. Like we were getting like, you should close the business and you should go get a real job, like that kind of a thing. Like, this is just not even like help, like just like, and then the second year we got like maybe like 3 or 4 like out of 10s. And then on the third go, we actually got invited to an interview. We got to present, people understood it. They saw the opportunity was much more clear. The problem set and the problem space was much more interesting. And we made it all the way to as a finalist and ultimately a top startup. So we were, I think 800 companies applied, 30 got accepted into the batch. And then 6 of us actually were finalists and we were a silver award winner. So that was really like, humbling, and being inside the batch gave us a lot of early users. And then at the end of the program, we actually received a $100,000 investment offer from one of our advisors who we had been kind of keeping up to date throughout our journey. And then we were able to build on that to bring together a $400,000 pre-seed round, which we closed in like March 1st of 2020. And then obviously COVID hit America, and it led to all the universities in the US going remote and everyone's internships getting canceled, and we exploded. So we were always trying to solve like the chicken and egg. Like we had 1,000 students and like a couple companies, and all of a sudden we had like more students than we knew what we could do with. And then from there, we worked all summer. We actually applied into Y Combinator. We didn't get in the first time, but we got in the second time. So because we grew our transaction volume 10x, and then went through Y Combinator, which is the world's leading startup accelerator this winter. And then this summer, we closed a $2 million seed round. So to date, we've actually raised $3 million. And our team is now 7 full-time based here in Rhode Island.
Wow. Like, so amazing to hear that whole entire evolution, right? From not really knowing where to focus to now look at you guys, right? You have this office space in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It's beautiful. $3 million has been raised. You got a full team of 7 employees. 10 times growth in the amount of students that are, in your platform. And think about all the growth that's going to come from that. So that's just absolutely amazing. I'm sure when they were looking at your model, looking at Pendia app and the business model, they were looking for that niche of the market, also what made you guys unique. And I knew you've kind of touched upon some things, but one thing that comes to mind is we were talking about how difficult it is when you're a student and you want to build experience, but you also need to work a job because you're trying to have some disposable income or just have income to pay for school, whatever it might be, right? And so sometimes it's either you sacrifice pay in order to get the experience, or you get a job that's not really going to help you build that experience. I went through it. I know lots of friends of mine that went through it. You mentioned the cafeteria services, like I was there. And I know that Pendia app has a unique stance when it comes to unpaid work. And so I would love if you could tell us a little bit about that and anything else that you identified that makes you guys unique.
Yeah. So paid versus unpaid, right? I mean, traditionally, a lot of internships have been unpaid, and it seemed that it's portrayed as, hey, it's a fair exchange of, hey, I'm going to teach you, and you're going to be able to get some experience out of it as well in a resume. Like that's been seen as the fair exchange. Now, the problem with that is it takes time from the student, right? And these students, when they're in school, they don't have a ton of time, and a lot of students are on financial aid. They can't afford to actually not get paid. They need to work a part-time job because they have expenses and they have loans to pay. So they were never able to actually take advantage of that bargain. Hey, I'll go work for someone for free and, I'll get that experience from it. They can't actually give time away for free. And what this does is it perpetuates the systems where folks like me, who come from a privileged background, who didn't graduate with college loans, were able to get internships that like look really great because I'm able to like give my time away for free. And then that leads to like the folks that are able to get really high paying jobs after graduation are those who come from socioeconomic backgrounds where they're able to get those experiences, and those who come from socioeconomic backgrounds where they can't afford to not get paid don't. And that's a problem. And we can solve that problem, at least in part, by ensuring that every opportunity is paid. And orienting the work where it isn't just the employer giving experience, but the student is coming with value to bring, and we're helping them actually insert value for the company so they can justify actually paying, and solving that equation, not just for the student, but also for the employer. Like, how can you make these something that you actually value and you're willing to pay for? And it's worth the paying of the $20 an hour, which is the average on our platform, by the way. So it's much more than an on-campus job. So that students have a choice. And listen, if they want to go work in the cafeteria, if that's just the kind of work they want to do, they can do that. But they should be able to choose between that kind of work and the kind of work that's really going to help them build their resume and build experience, and also help employers like take stuff off their plate and get more done and grow more quickly. So our view is, if you actually index on making all the work paid, it actually helps you focus on making sure the engagements are valuable to employers, and the employers end up getting a whole lot more out of it. They also end up with much more diverse talent and much more diverse pipelines. And you want those perspectives in a business to be successful. You can serve more customers that way when you have more types of people working for you.
Absolutely. I love that, right? It's about closing this gap. It's about providing opportunities to all. And it's also about looking at the benefits that provides for the employer in having those diverse perspectives and those diverse talents, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So you've talked a lot about students, and I think you mentioned graduates at some point. So is Pendia app limited to students, or to, can graduates apply? How long after they've graduated? What's the limitation there?
Yeah, so generally we're open to anyone who's up to 5 years post-grad. And our goal is actually to grow with our students throughout their young professional careers. So what we want to see happen is we're seeing students graduate and end up just actually freelance while they're looking for a full-time job, or just go to freelancing full-time. In fact, we have a student now on our platform that's making $4,000 to $5,000 every single month, working with around 3 or 4 different freelance engagements. So like $1,000 per, give or take. It's her full-time job. She's pulling in $40,000 a year on our platform. That's amazing, right? I mean, that's really helpful. And then obviously we hope that number increases as she gets more clients and she goes from being a $20 an hour to 25 to 30. And we want to be there with her and support her. And our fee structure is such that the more you bill on our platform, the less fee that we take. So what we really want to see happen is we build a relationship with these students, whether they're freshmen or sophomores, juniors, while they're in college. And then they build their reputation on our platform, and they stick with us even after they graduate. So that's why we started using the term emerging talent, more broadly speaking, instead of like college. I know I said college freelancers because it also more easily understands like the market segment. But yeah, we don't remove students when they graduate, and you can sign up with an alumni email address as well.
That's fantastic. What a great result, right? What a great win. And I love the idea behind the model of incentivizing people growth, right? There's sometimes a lot of models out there that actually end up penalizing as their client base grows or whatever it might be. But this is the opposite, right? It's about incentivizing that growth, celebrating their successes, so to speak, right?
I think the key is always in backing into the value that you create, and so around having a mindset of like, am I trying to optimize on my revenue or optimize on like taking as much as I can? And like certainly like you don't want to like leave money on the table, but like you always need to I've always looked at it the opposite way of like creating value, and then like if you can create value, like positioning yourself to like basically capture some of the value that you're creating. And that's like our business model is a marketplace fee. So we only make money when like students are finding clients and actually invoicing, and the company's paying invoices. Like we only get paid like the very end of the cycle. So like we have to create a lot of value. And then because it's consistent, right? We want people to keep using us. We need to continuously create value and back into the value that we create. So especially like as the students like get their legs and get their reputations, right? And it becomes easier for them in essence to find clients off our platform. We need to kind of back into the value that we are creating, and or create more value for them such that we can, capture more revenue. So that's always been our mentality, as opposed to being like, we're going to take 50%. We're going to take 50% because like we don't have transparency into what people are, but we're not going to give transparency into what people are doing, which is the mentality of some other folks.
I think you guys, I'm so excited to hear about the continued growth that Pendia app is going to have. I mean, you guys are already skyrocketing so far. You've raised so many funds. People are seeing the value of what you bring to the community. And I'm so grateful that we were able to kind of learn more about Pendia app and share it with the community today. I see that we're kind of up against the clock. I did want to know, is any final announcements that you would like to share with the community? Anything about how we can support Pendia app?
Well, we have a big new update coming out later this month. So we have actually retouched up the entire product from front to back. So that's coming out. So definitely check that out when it's ready. If you're an employer looking to bring in like a social media manager, that's our bread and butter. We just graduated a class of 100 who we call top emerging students who we've worked with to develop their soft skills and what it means to be a freelancer. So we're doing some more like behind the scenes, like hand matching. So if you post a job this month, definitely our team is like looking out for you in social media management. So post a job. We actually just hired a backend engineer, but if anyone knows anyone who is an engineer looking for more like backend work, doing microservices or Kubernetes, not to get too granular, we're definitely open to any connections on the engineering side, but definitely like come to Pendia, come post a job, come give a student an opportunity, and we'll promise it's worth every single dollar.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I do want to let the community know we have included Pendia app's website in the comments below the spotlight. So please, if you want to learn more, check it out there. We'd love for you guys to get connected, spread the word to anybody who this could be a resource to. I do also want to let everybody in the community know, save the date. We do have a couple of upcoming events. We have a fireside chat with Hubert Jolie. He's actually the author of a book called The Heart of Business. He's also the senior lecturer at Harvard Business School, and he was the former CEO and chairman at Best Buy. That fireside chat is actually happening Wednesday, December 7th at noon up until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then last but not least, this year, we do have our first in 2 years in-person year-end event, which we're so excited to host. It's actually going to be at the Loft Hotel, which is a new hotel that's opening up just next month right here in Providence. And so that's also going to be on Wednesday, but Wednesday the 15th. That'll be from 6 to 9. So tickets did go out on sale today. They're very, very affordable tickets, but there are limited tickets. So if anybody's interested, please sign up. If you want to follow us or learn about any future events that are coming up, you can check out our LinkedIn, our Twitter, obviously on Facebook. We do have the events posted below in the comments from this spotlight as well. And then just want to quickly thank our sponsors, Cross Country Mortgage, Colossal Contracting, Vico Infrastructure Company, as well as New Energy and BizOne. Again, thank you, Adam, so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate your time and looking forward to hearing more about Pendia app.
You'll definitely hear about it. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.